Hello and welcome to the official YouTube channel of Law Prep Tutorial. My name is Avinash and today we will discuss what to do with your mock tests for the last 30 days before your CLAT exam. There's nothing different you've got to do. You've got to prepare, you've got to learn your GK, you've got to practice your math, you've got to prep up your English, your logical reasoning and your legal reasoning. You've got to prioritize, देखना है which section generates the most profit for you. You've got to also figure out that in these 5 sections, how you would like to run your entire 2 hours. You don't want to get exhausted in the first 1 hour. You don't want to take it for granted either in the first 1 hour, because you do either and you are at a loss. So there are going to be a lot of things. My first recommendation is that whatever you do, you ensure that you're taking 10 to 12 mock tests a day. Now, for those who are already in the habit of taking a mock on a daily basis, maybe 2 mock tests on a daily basis, don't stop that. Carry on. You're doing a lot of hard work and I only wish the best for you. However, if you'd like to make sure that you have enough space between a mock test and the analysis, then you take a break, right? Take a mock test, analyze it for an entire day, see where you went right and wrong, see what the gaps were, try to fill it up, fill all the gaps up in the next 24 hours before you take another mock test, right? But then this is minimum. If you're not taking this, you might just miss the bus, right? At the same time, simulation is very important. You understand that the exam is from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. I think you must try your best to see if you can take most of those exams, mock exams, between 2 to 4 p.m., between 2 and 4 p.m. You might be going for classes, you might have other commitments as well. So, jitne bhi ho sake, try to take those mock tests in this timeline itself. Also make sure that you are in a little bit of hurry, you are slightly excited, you'll be traveling before you go to the center, you'll be waiting in line. So a little bit of panic before the actual mock could also help. Not much, I'm not that good at psychology, but I think, if I want to prepare for the CLAT, then I have to believe that every day is CLAT, right? So make sure that you simulate, you copy the situation, the exam conditions as well as you can. That is only going to help you. 2 p.m. as I said, quiet setting. This may not gel with your expectations because I take the exams on a regular basis, not just CLAT exams, and I see that there is a lot of chaos even in the exam center. The invigilators are talking, they have their tea, they have their occasional phone calls as well. Sometimes they shout, right? So a little bit of noise would not do you any harm, but then eventually, the sanctity of the CLAT exam is that it must be conducted in a quiet environment. So you must look for a quiet environment with 0 distractions. However, if there are a few distractions every once in a while, you shouldn't worry. That should actually help you. Then get an OMR. You can get it on our website, right? Get as many copies as possible and do a mock drill. By mock drill, I mean you must ensure that whatever happens, you fill an OMR on a daily basis. See that all the challenges that are possible in filling up an OMR are dealt with before your exam. Even 5 days before the exam, if you're able to get a perfect OMR filled, you've done a great piece of work. There are 5 sections, as I said. My recommendation is that legal reasoning is one of the best sections to start with. There are technically 2 options, not 4. They say A, B, C, D, but your answers are technically binary, yes or no, guilty or not guilty. So when you've got 2 options, you've got a 50% chance of being correct. When you've got 4 options, you've got 25% chance of being correct. I think you might just as well take the legal section first, the legal reasoning section first, try to wrap it up in 40 minutes. And then, you need that break after a long 40 minutes of absolute focus. So you might just move to GK, right? GK could be an easy one because you either know the answer or don't. I hope you know the answers. But when you do that, you get that break, that desired break. You might just want to take rest for about 30 seconds, which is affordable now. And then move to maybe the logical reasoning section or the English section, one of these, and then go for math. If you're good at math, great. If you're not good at math, great. If you're good at math, you'll take probably about 12 to 14 minutes. You know that one of those passages is going to be easy. The other one might just be a little tricky as far as the last 2 years of CLAT QT section goes, quantitative techniques section goes. But then once you're done, once you've decided, I'm going to complete this math section in 12 to 14 minutes so that I can rush to the next section, which could be English or reasoning. But if you think in the first 2 minutes that it's going to be a waste of time because you're getting nervous, move to English or reasoning and then do your math. But then the moment you realize that it's taking a little bit of time, stop, think, is it going to pay you back? If you think not, run to the next section. You could actually run to the next question as well, and that could do you a lot of good. The mock test does not end in the 120 minutes. The psychological game is the mock test actually begins after. Whatever you've done, you go back and then you start thinking about it. What was it? Was it right or wrong? Law Prep tutorial will ensure that we give you the answers to all the questions as soon as possible, almost immediately after the mock test is done. So keep watching out for our videos where we'll give you the analysis of the entire CLAT paper as soon as possible, so we can ensure we reduce your tensions. Create an error log. In these 30 days, it's very important that you write down every mistake that you've committed, right? See if you could figure out why you've made that mistake and how you could correct it, so that when you take the next test, you might just have a better recall value. See that you remember why you made that mistake, and you're not going to make that mistake again. Rather, don't attempt. But then if you remember your mistakes, you might just avoid repeating them in the next test. At the same time, identify error types. Most often, OMR becomes one of those mistakes. You don't fill them up. Apart from that, when you're looking at answer choices, A, B, C, and D might just get interchanged in the head. And even though you know the right answers, you might just make silly mistakes. Knowledge gap, I did not know, so I did not answer. And I did not know, so I answered anything. These are two things. I think the first option is the best option. If I don't know, I'll not answer. Or if I don't know and I'm still answering, I'll just circle those questions. So when I check my actual capacity after the test, I know how many of those were flukes, guessworks that just turned out to be right. Don't be very proud of them. Try to work on them, because guessworks have only two options. They get right or wrong, and you don't know beforehand. Then at the same time, we've got to analyze all our weak areas. It's important that we analyze our weak areas. In a previous video, I told you there's no more time to learn something new. But if you already know it, and then there are these conceptual gaps, you might just want to cover them up in these 30 days. Let's take a look. These are some points that you must work on. They are all repetitions of the previous slide. And I really want for you to pause this video for about 20 seconds to 30 seconds to go through this. Mark them down. Make notes as to what you should do. I'll move to the next slide. It's just, this looks so good, right? But then what if your attempts were fewer and your accuracy were higher? When this is the story, It's good only when you're making a large number of attempts. So let's say out of 24 questions on the verbal, if you're attempting, let's say, only 16 questions, right? And then your accuracy is 85. 16 eights are one, I'm very bad at math. I think it's 128 and then 8, 136. 13.6, that'll not fetch you good marks, right? So this is the time when you move on from accuracy, from a high accuracy to a high number of attempts. Remember, if you don't make it in this CLAT, you either change your course or you wait for another year. So the moment you think you're not making a lot of attempts, I think you must try to speed up a bit, because right now in these 30 days, it's about both accuracy and speed. One of them goes down, I don't want to say it, right? 3 mocks at least. Now, if you are doing really well, you know, you're scoring 80s, 90s, maybe hitting that 100, 101, 102, 103 as well. So there's not much to analyze. You might just push to even 2 mock tests in a day. There are a lot of mocks available with us. But then if you are one of those people who need time, then you might reduce the number of tests. Take 1 test every 2 days. Make sure that the moment you take the test, from then on, right till the end of the next day, you've done your analysis and you've gained in experience, you've gained in wisdom, so that you can take the next test in a better way. Avoid burnout, focus on your well-being. A lot of there's no major statistics about it, because you don't get to ask students. But if we were to take a 15% miscellaneous and divide it by 2, roughly about 5 to 7% of students might not even be taking the actual CLAT because of basic hygiene issues, such as they're not well, they couldn't find the way to their centers, and so on. So the best thing is you visit the center, you take care of health, you meditate, you know, get engaged in some hobbies, but then you do something, eat healthy, stay hydrated, stay off social media analysis. A lot of people will say a lot of things just to get your likes, subscriptions and shares. You need to avoid this altogether, because the more you focus on them, the more you'll be afraid कि अब क्या होगा, अब क्या नहीं होगा, अरे उन्होंने तो बता दिया, बस यही कर लो हो जाएगा, और वो बता के तो चले जाते हैं, उनका व्यूज़ तो बन जाता है, लेकिन आपका क्या होता है ये तो आपको पता है ना. 70 to 80,000 test takers, 3,500 students make it. बाकी 65 से 75,000 students, उनका कुछ नहीं होता. I don't want you to be one of them, right? If you have any questions, all you need to do is go to that comment section, write your questions, and one of us will be more than happy to answer them. It was lovely connecting with you again. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.